Have you ever launched an ad campaign that should have printed money? You had the budget, the targeting, the offer, yet after weeks of testing, it's still flatlined. Meanwhile, you watch competitors run the same creative for months, sometimes years, generating millions, while you're stuck refreshing your ad manager, hoping for a miracle. Well, there's a psychological explanation for why this happens and a method actually to fix it. Behind the world's most successful evergreen campaigns, the ones that run for years without burning out, stand three pillars that most marketers completely ignore. No flashy effects, no trendy transitions, not your signature style. Mass audiences don't care about any of that. They care about story. Whether your ad makes them feel something, they care about style, whether it speaks to them directly, and they care about results, whether it actually moves the needle for them. My name is Raul Plickert. I'm the founder of Marketing MBA. Together with my team, we've generated over $1 billion in revenue for personal brands and companies, building campaigns that don't just convert once, but keep converting for years. And what I'm about to show you now is the exact method we used to create a campaign that generated 8-figure growth, 3.6 million of views, 10,000 of reactions, and which basically became the blueprint for evergreen ads that tell stories correctly. I'm also taking you for the first time behind the scenes, from the ideation part to the actual filming of that, and there's absolutely no gatekeeping here. In the end, it all comes down to three pillars. We call it SSR. First, there's story, the psychological architecture that bypasses resistance and makes viewers feel before they think. Second, there's style, editing and presentation calibrated to a specific audience, not generic best practices. And third, the only metric that actually matters is revenue and leads generated. These are the three pillars that power every campaign we build. I'll break down each one using a real case study in a moment. But first, what makes an ad truly evergreen? Most ads burn out because they rely on novelty. A pattern interrupt, a curiosity hook, a trending sound, something that grabs attention because it's new. The problem: new becomes very fast, very old. The algorithm shows your ad to the same audience repeatedly. The hook that worked on day 1 becomes invisible by day 30. Your CPM spikes, your ROAS tanks, you're back to the drawing board. This is the ad fatigue death spiral. And this is why most campaigns have a shelf life of weeks, not years. The KFC method solves this. KFC stands for key first click. If you watched this channel before, there's another video that is somewhere linked here where I explained the exact method. It's the campaign architecture we developed after studying why some ads generates millions for years while others die in days. And here's what we discovered. Ads that die operate on the surface. They grab a trend, they grab attention through novelty, something unexpected, something loud, something different. But novelty is external. It depends on the viewer not having it seen before. Once they've seen it, it's dead. Ads that live operate on depth. They don't grab attention. They activate identity. They don't show a product, they show the viewer who they could become. This never gets old because it's not about the ad, it's about the viewer. It's about the identity the viewer wants to achieve. The psychological principle that makes evergreen possible is basically based on Maxwell Maltz. In psychocybernetics, he proved that humans cannot outperform their self-image. What is your self-image? Your self-image is the mental picture you hold of who you are. Every decision you make, every action you take is filtered through this image. You will always act in accordance with who you believe yourself to be. In the end, this is why most ads fail. Most ads try to convince you to buy something. They present features, benefits, social proof, and urgency. And it's all good. But if the product doesn't fit your self-image, if you can't see yourself as a person who owns the thing, uses this service, lives this lifestyle, no amount of convincing will eventually work. Your brain will reject it, not consciously, automatically. Evergreen ads don't convince. They transform the self-image. And this is especially needed for high-ticket services because they become more effective with more frequency, which is the total opposite to e-com ads, where ad fatigue is real. For evergreen high-ticket ads, this is not the case. They show the viewer a version of themselves they haven't met yet, a future self, a possible self, and they make that self feel real, achievable, and desirable. Once the viewer sees themselves differently, the purchase becomes inevitable. Not because you convinced them, because they convinced themselves. And this is the most critical detail here. This is why evergreen ads don't fatigue. Novelty wears off, but identity activation doesn't. Every time the viewer sees the ad, they see the future self again. The message doesn't get old, it gets reinforced. The KFC method is a strategic framework. SSR is the execution layer. The first impression must activate identity, not just capture attention. You have one moment, the first click, the first 3 seconds actually, to show the viewer who they could become. Not directly, but you should at least hook them. Miss this and nothing else matters. Nail this and the ad can run forever. Let's talk about story, the psychological architecture that makes identity activation possible. Not storytelling in the generic sense, specific narrative structures that bypass the conscious filter and speak directly to the self-image. This is where Heidegger, Jung, Adler, Nietzsche, and Frankl become relevant, not just as philosophy, but as technology. Psychological tools that have been moving humans for centuries, now applied to market. When it comes to style, the visual and auditory language calibrated to a specific audience is important. Not trends, not best practices, the exact aesthetic, pacing, and tone your audience recognizes as for them. Here we come to copywriting in filmmaking. Style is also identity signaling. When the style matches, the viewer's brain says, this is for people like me. When it doesn't, they scroll. We don't think it, we feel it. And lastly, when it comes to results, revenue and leads generated. Period. Everything else is just vanity. The only question that matters is, did it move the needle in the end? This is the performance layer when it comes to applying in the end the movie on Facebook, on Meta, on YouTube, because it's not enough to just film it. And this part is handled in the KFC video. Now let me show you exactly how we applied this. Last year we worked with Jürgen Höller. He's kind of like the Tony Robbins of Germany. A personal brand with a big history. He's been on the market for more than 30 years, but he faced a problem. His demographic was aging, but in the back end he was evolving. His brand image to the front didn't evolve. It was the same for the last 12 years. He has great products, a lot of great products actually. But in the front end, what he was communicating, it wasn't visible. So the challenge was create a rebrand campaign that wouldn't just launch and die. It needed to run long term, generate millions in revenue, and reposition a third-year brand for a new generation. We applied the KFC method with full SSR execution. The result was 2 ads, millions of views, and 8-figure revenue growth. The ads are still running, and what we delivered was a psychological intervention disguised as a brand video. And now, here's the architecture behind it. Have fun with it. So let's start with the beginning. In order to make a successful rebrand, we had to research what creates resonance in his audience. What are the current trends? Who is the brand? And how do we combine that with a message that creates identity activation, not just attention? We made the strategic decision to launch not with 1 video, but with 2 seemingly disconnected videos. Why? Because the KFC method requires more than 1 touch. The first click activates, the second click transforms. Video 1 was pre-launch. We decided on video 1 that it was pure entertainment. What I discovered about Jürgen was that he has a great sense of humor. He has a lot of charisma, and when you meet him in person, you feel like you know him like forever. But on the outside, he never threw a single joke in no video at all. Maybe there was, but I couldn't find it. So I wanted that people see this, especially his audience. On the other hand, in his market, everyone takes himself so seriously and important all the time. So let's make fun of himself. And he was fine with it. Thank you, Jürgen, for the trust. It worked. And he actually convinced me to take the role in the director's seat while we were filming. This video did something critical. It disarmed the audience. It showed humanity. It signaled this is not going to be what you expect. Counter positioning. Video 2 was the actual launch video, the psychological intervention. There's a grave, a clown, the architecture I'm about to break down. The entertainment video lowered defenses. It created goodwill, built curiosity. Then the serious video arrived and penetrated where it otherwise couldn't. Now, the meaning of the second video is much deeper, and if I wouldn't make this video, most people probably would have never seen these things in the video. That's totally fine, because in the end, it works also on the subconscious. Whether you understand it or not, you feel it, as long as you're part of the audience. This is SSR in action. A story, a transformation, narrative encoded in symbols, timelines, and psychological triggers. The style is cinematic, calibrated exactly to Höller's evolved audience. Not the aging demographic, but the next generation of entrepreneurs who wants depth, not hype.